Hi everyone, Shanna with Apogee the Moon. Welcome back to my channel, and I am back. So it's been a little while. Things have been a little bit crazy with all the T-squares going on and the fixed signs and all of that. So I'm sure everyone has some stories to tell about their time with the with Uranus and the North Node and Mars and all of that, and then the Sun coming through and transiting, Venus coming through and transiting, Mercury coming through and transiting, all the crazies. So today though, we are actually going to be talking about the full moon coming up in Pisces, which is actually very, very nice and very beautiful and very harmonious in a way. However, you know, there's obviously some kind of weird stuff going on. Okay, so ever since the new moon in Virgo, we have had an ongoing square. Even though the Sun is moving away from Mars, there's still been that ongoing square between Mars and the Sun. And so this is creating heat, it's creating friction, it's creating tension, it's creating tempers, it's creating action, right? So that's been ongoing. And so at the time of this full moon, you know, it is a wide T-square, but it's still a T-square nonetheless. And Mars is beginning to come into orb of being square to Neptune. And that's not necessarily the greatest energy in the world. A lot of confusing, a lot of weird, a lot of nebulous things that tend to go on, unexpected eruptions of violence, things like that. And so hopefully that's different this time around, but it's not looking like it will be, unless maybe, you know, we can utilize that grounding trine influence to Saturn over in Aquarius from Mars and Gemini at the time of this exact square, but that's coming up. So what I want to talk about is Mercury stationing to go retrograde at 8 degrees of Libra. And so Mercury is going to be retrograde here in Libra for a little while. It's, you know, Mercury is all about contracts, agreements, and negotiations. And Libra, as a general sign and significator, also has, you know, domain over contracts, agreements, and negotiations as well. So there could be one-on-one personal relationships that are up for negotiation. There could be, you know, contracts or agreements that are up for negotiation. There could be something that maybe you thought wasn't applicable or wasn't going to be coming to fruition, and it's now on the table. Or maybe there's something that you were really hoping for to be on the table and it's been taken off the table. With Mercury going retrograde in the sign of Libra for this first leg of Mercury retrograde, it's definitely going to have associations with relationships and relating to other people and how you relate to other people. So keep that in mind as Mercury does go retrograde on the 9th, just a day before this full moon on the 10th. And so at the time of this full moon, Mercury is retrograde. You know, the Sun, Venus, and Mars all answer to Mercury, and Mercury is kind of revising, right? So the Sun has a general influence over our joy, what lights us up, where our focus is. So wherever Virgo is in your chart, you've probably noticed since the Sun hit Virgo, light, heat, attention has been on this part of our charts, on whatever this is for you. And so there could be revisions going on related to those themes as well, relating to, you know, health, wellness, relating to your work, relating to your job, relating to putting things in the proper order, relating to, you know, relating, right? Because Mercury is in, the ruler of Virgo, Mercury is in Libra. So the same thing is going on for Mars here. Mars is in Gemini as well. And so there's definitely some communication that maybe has been fraught with tension, or maybe there is very direct, very straightforward, very intense communication that's going on. And Venus is also in Virgo, and Venus in Virgo can be like very nitpicky, but it's nitpicky for a reason. It wants to put things in the proper order. It wants to use what is right. It wants to use only what is right, really. And what's usable, what's workable, what's tangible, because this is an earth sign. Even though it is Mercury ruled, it's still an earth sign. And so there is definitely associations with being very busy, or maybe even being anxious about something, with these two planets, the Sun and Venus, in Virgo at this time. And being with the square to Mars, this is definitely taking action in communication and doing your due diligence and putting things in the proper order. I do kind of like Venus and Mars in square. Not a lot of people will say that. I do. It creates action. So I don't mind it so much. This full moon is also in a really beautiful sextile with the North Node and Uranus over in Taurus. So even though this is a full moon in Pisces, this is like a feel-good kind of free-floating magical energy, it's being brought down and it's being grounded into the physical, tangible reality that we have. So maybe this is the realization of a long-term goal that you never thought would come to fruition, right? Or maybe this is the manifestation of a wish or a hope or a dream, you know, with that Pisces energy and with that little bit of Uranian flavor in there. Something that's coming in, something that's coming to fruition, or something that's coming up for you to be finalized and put to bed for, you know, finishing and completing, right? So full moons are about culmination and completion. It's also about where we need to reevaluate what it is that we have set in motion, right? So new moons are all about seeding the intent. You know, the first quarter square is all about taking actions on the things that, the ideas, the thoughts, and the plans that we have. The full moon is seeing those through to completion and saying, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't. And on this axis of Virgo and Pisces, that's kind of doubly so. What worked, what didn't, what lessons, what, you know, magical moments and magical manifestations have happened that are now in reality, that are now tangible, that are now within your grasp to reach towards. And what changes do you need to make going forward to be able to either implement them or keep them in your life, right? What needs to be put in the proper order with the sun over in Virgo. And so this is gorgeous energy, and I really do like this energy. Mars is moving into a really nice trine with Saturn at this time. You know, it's 9 degrees of separation, but that's fine. The, you know, Pluto too is actually in a septile with the moon at this full moon. So there could definitely be otherworldly kind of things that happen. You know, the sun is in a trine with Pluto, but Pluto is in a septile, which I have a chart up. You can't see it. I'm looking at it as I'm talking just to keep my mind on the astrology. And so there's definitely an interesting energy of this septile energy with Pluto and the moon. And so septiles are paranormal in nature, you know, paranormal, you know, ghostly apparitions, what have you, whatever is outside of the normal realm of things that you would think of. So there is a little bit of that going on too. So just be cognizant of that, that maybe there's something deep that's rising from the depths or rising, you know, to the surface to be evaluated as well at this time of deep psyche, or even, you know, the spirit realm, because Pisces does have that general association as well of crossed over spirits having left the body, etc. So just be aware of that as well. So that is what I have for the general forecast. And so now we will get into all 12 signs, and hopefully you can see my Aries symbol, and that's what we will be starting with, is Aries and Aries rising. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this full moon is happening, you know, in your 6th and in your 12th house. And so with the, you know, the T square to Mars, this is definitely, you know, creating a little bit of havoc in terms of your communication. Maybe there's a communication that comes out of the blue about your health, your wellness, your daily routines, the things that you're doing every single day. Maybe there's a communication that comes kind of from a hospital, or a communication that comes from, you know, outside of the normal places of being, like, yeah, I would say a doctor or a hospital with this one specifically, or if you've been waiting on any health news or anything like that, this could definitely be the fulfillment of that, and it could feel really intense in the moment. The other thing that's going on is that with this sextile to the North Node and to Uranus in your second house, for Aries rising in particular, this could definitely be a wild swing in terms of your finances, news coming out of the blue of finances, or a bill even that comes out of nowhere. Maybe a hospital bill comes out of nowhere, etc. The other thing that's going on for you, specifically Aries rising, is that Mercury is retrograde in your 7th house. So there's a contract, an agreement, a negotiation, or even something going on with your spouse that needs to be reevaluated, right? Your relationships, your one-to-ones need to be reevaluated, need to be kind of put in the proper order, or, things need to be rehashed out there. And so it could have to do with, the things that you're doing every single day. Maybe you're doing something that's not applicable or appropriate with your spouse, and maybe you're getting a conversation with your spouse to say, hey, you know what, you need to change your ways. Or it could be the reverse of that. Maybe you're having a conversation with your spouse about how you want things to be moving forward. So that is something that's going on there. With Saturn and Mars in trine, this is really good in terms of like your communication with friends, group associations, people that you associate with by choice, your altruistic pursuits, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams. Maybe you've been feeling very limited and very kind of held back in terms of your group associations or your friends, or maybe even like a philanthropic goal or charity that you want to be part of. Maybe there's a communication that comes in, and now you're able to take action. You're able to take the right next steps to be able to get that off the ground or get that going. Or maybe you're just able to help somebody and talk through something with them, with a friend or something like that. You specifically, because your chart ruler is in the 3rd house, so communication is big for you right now. Okay, and that is for Aries. And let's see here. And then for Taurus, and for Taurus rising, so this full moon is happening in your 11th and in your 5th house. So, with the sun transiting here in your 5th house, you have been focused on things that are fun, things that bring you joy, things that are playful, things that are sexy or romantic, right, Taurus? And with your chart ruler here as well, your focus has definitely been there, and you've been wanting to play, you've been wanting to have fun, you've been wanting to kind of shirk the responsibilities of what's going on in that day-to-day. And with Mercury going retrograde, having Mars, Venus, and the Sun all in Mercury-ruled signs, and Mercury being in Venus's sign of Libra, in your 6th house specifically, this is saying that maybe there's something going on with your work that needs to be revised. Maybe you're revising what's going on with work specifically to be able to create more joy, to be able to create more fun, or to get back to those things that you're truly passionate about, that you want to get back to, right? And this full moon, in the 11th house specifically for you, this could definitely see the culmination, the completion, the finalization, the reevaluation of who you want to take forward with you, your friends, the groups of people that you associate with, even not just groups of people, but like organizations that you associate with by choice, your charities, things like that, your philanthropic ideations, or your hopes, your wishes, and your dreams. There's definitely something here that's going to be reevaluated. Or maybe you're speaking to, what it is that you truly want to manifest in the world, right? And so it could be radically different than what you thought it was, because Uranus is in your sign and has been wreaking havoc. We've had the eclipses, the North Node is here in your 1st house, Taurus, so you could definitely be reevaluating and just letting something go in a really big way, letting a group association go and moving on towards something that's really dynamic and different, and what you want in your career, but also in your fun life, right? Like who you are, how you're expressing yourself, and the joy that you have in the world. that's definitely something that's going on too. And then with this Mars and Uranus in trine from your second house to your 10th house, this could be good in terms of taking action, and very grounded, very diligent, very practical action, to do with your career, to do with your public standing and your public reputation, and also to maybe, you know, move forward with a different way of making money, because Mars will be going retrograde here in your second house for a little while. And so it's going to be here for about 7 months. So there is that going on for Taurus and for Taurus rising. And so then for Gemini and for Gemini rising, sit back here. This full moon is happening in your 10th house. And so the sun is bringing light, heat, joy, you know, focus and attention on all things home, all things family, all things property, all things, you know, at the root of who you are and where you come from. Whether or not this is your parents or a parent, or whether or not this is your actual home, your physical dwelling, or a property that you own, depending on how, you know, what you have going on. Venus is also here, so there could definitely be some, you know, secret things going on to do with property, things that maybe are not being talked about just yet, because Venus does rule the 12th house here in your chart. And so there could definitely be some things going on there, and even maybe even some conversations with children that are going on. Now with Mercury, which is your chart ruler, in your 5th house, this is your focus, and you're reevaluating what brings you joy at the same time, right? So not only is the sun in a Mercury sign, Venus in a Mercury sign, and Mars in a Mercury sign, but Mercury is in a Venus-ruled sign in Libra. And so for you, this is your 5th house of children, of fun, of play, of joy, of hobbies, and things you love to do just because you love to do them, romance, all of it. And so there could definitely be a reevaluation going on at the time of this full moon for you specifically, to do with the things that bring you joy, your hobbies, your interests, the things that you love to do. And with the full moon being in your 10th house, it's highlighting your career. It's highlighting what you've done out in the world. And maybe there's something that now comes to a natural conclusion or a natural completion, and it's something that you maybe want to walk away from, because maybe there's something that's not bringing you joy with it anymore. Maybe it's become too cumbersome or too monotonous in order for you to have your creativity flourish with having Pisces as the 10th house. So that could be something that's going on. With Mars in trine with Saturn from the 1st house to the 9th house for you specifically as a rising sign, this could definitely be, you know, you yourself are taking action on, you know, speaking to an institution, or speaking to a, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not just an institution, but like a college or a higher education, or even, yeah, even a college or a university or something like that. There's a conversation that's happening here and for you, or you're having a conversation. It could even be a conversation with a boss as well, because, you know, Saturn does have rulership over those in positions of power and authority. It could even be having conversations with government and government officials and all of that. So, or even like loans for college or loans for school, or, you know, joint finances of some kind, right? There could definitely be some conversations like that going on for you specifically as a Gemini rising. Let's see. I believe that's what I needed to cover for you. And so then we move on to Cancer and Cancer rising. So for Cancers, this full moon is happening in your 9th house. So there's a culmination, a completion, a finalization, and a letting go of all things higher, you know, higher institution, whether or not this is a college or a teaching gig or an educational pursuit or even travel. If you've been wanting to travel, maybe something comes through and you're finally able to get out, you're able to get going, you're able to get moving. And then there's also, you know, education. Maybe you have decided that you don't want to teach anymore and you want to step down from your position as a teacher at a university or at a college or something like that, or you're entering into retirement or something like that. It could be. Or it could be that maybe you're really passionate about learning something, and so you're enrolling in a higher education, you're enrolling in college, or you're starting school. And so this is like a fulfillment and a completion of that. And now you're doing it, and now you're there, and now, oh my goodness, what the heck are you going to do now? Right? This full moon is highlighting what you need to reevaluate in order to move forward. And so with Mercury being in your 4th house, you know, there's communications on the home front that are coming up for you, reevaluations of the home, maybe even someone moving in or someone moving out, or conversations, right? Because this is also Mercury here, about someone possibly moving in or moving out of your home. And then with the Sun and Venus also in the 3rd house, this is a lot of communication. This is communications with friends. This could be communications about, you know, group interactions, or even, you know, people that you associate with by choice, right? Venus does rule your 11th house. Venus also rules your 4th house. So this could definitely be a lot of conversation about either moving cross country, someone moving cross country to be with you, you know, you moving cross country to be with someone, you moving cross country to go to college, you moving cross country to go home from college. You know, there's many different things that could be going on here. And then with Mars, you know, Mars is your 10th house ruler. There's something going on behind the scenes here that has to do with debt, taxes, joint finances, things like that. That are conversations that are kind of secretive and behind the scenes, that have long-term implications for, you know, what's going on with you. Because Mars, if you're an ascendant Cancer, Mars is in your 12th house. This is hidden enemies. This is also secrets and things like that behind the scenes. And Saturn is in your 8th house of joint finances and taxes and things like that. So there could definitely be some conversations going on specifically with that. And because Mercury is in trine with Mars, I would dare say that this is a private conversation that's going on to do with finances and joint finances, even wills and testaments and things like that, for sure. Let's see. What else do I have for you? So there could definitely be there could be an opportunity for you with the sextile to Uranus at the time of this full moon, for a friendship or a group association or something like that, to really benefit you in terms of like your higher viewpoint, how you frame reality, the world around you, things like that. Or even a benefactor, or someone comes in and offers you, you know, a pro bono loan or something like that. Like it could be something like that. Or, you know, a benefactor of some sort. So there is that. And then for Leo and for Leo rising, this full moon is happening in your 8th house. And so 8th house, your focus, you know, because the sun is also your chart ruler, your focus has been on what it is that you value, your finances, right? This is like your food, your health, your the things that you value, the things that you purchase, as well as, you know, your money and how you make money. So there's been a focus here specifically on how it is that you're making money. And with this full moon, it's highlighting your joint finances. It's highlighting, you know, debt, taxes, insurance, inheritances, things like that for you. There's something that's coming up for you that could have to do with, you know, dealing with the IRS, or dealing with joint finances, or dealing with loans of some kind. Something is coming to fruition here. And with, you know, with the South Node, I dare say, with this South Node in a trine with the moon, and I would say that this could be an opportunity to either sell a house or purchase a house. And so that's where the debt would come into play. And then it's also being grounded down by Uranus in that 10th house, by, you know, the North Node with Uranus in that 10th house. So there's definitely some very tangible changes out of the blue, wild, dynamic changes that have been going on that are now coming to fulfillment and completion, but not in a bad way. There's something that's happening that's kind of changing what's going on, and nice surprises versus the intensity of the T-squares that we've been facing over the last several weeks. So that is going on. With Mars in your 11th house, you know, this is in a really nice sextile with your ascendant, a nice trine with your descendant. So there's definitely action to be taken when it comes to your group associations, when it comes to the people that you associate with by choice. And it can have a lot to do with your one-to-one interactions with people, your clients, your spouse, your business partners, long-term partnerships and friendships and things like that, just because Mars is in a really nice trine, coming into a really nice trine with Saturn at the time of this full moon. And with, you know, Venus here in the second house, your focus has been on career, what you're doing in your public standing, the money that you're making from career, what's working, what's not working. And with this full moon, you're evaluating what's going on and putting things maybe in a different order or a different way, or doing something a little bit different. With Mercury going retrograde in your third house, this is you reevaluating, you know, either the neighborhood that you live in, how you interact and communicate with people. This could even be your relationships with your siblings. This could be the relationships with your neighbors. This could even be, you know, group reevaluating and rehashing out and going over conversations with your friends or with other people that you have been speaking to or associated with for a while now. That could definitely be something that's going on for you. And that's what I have for Leo. And for Virgo and for Virgo rising, this is happening in your 7th house. So this full moon, right? The sun has been bringing light, heat, joy to you, been lighting you up. And now with the moon here, this full moon is highlighting your relationships. Maybe there's a relationship that's coming to a natural conclusion, or a relationship that's coming to a fulfillment and a completion. And now there's a reevaluation that needs to happen in terms of what this relationship is, whether or not this relationship needs to stay, or whether or not this relationship needs to go. And this really nice sextile between the moon, Uranus, and the North Node in Taurus, right? From Pisces to Taurus. Goodness gracious. You can tell Mercury is about to go retrograde. This is happening in your 9th and in your 7th house. So this sextile is actually really nice in terms of seeing a long-term goal or plan or higher worldview, because we do have Uranus here, and Uranus is long-range, you know, planning and things like that as well, just because of the associations. And having it in your 9th house, this has really been shaking up your worldview, how you see the world around you. Things are coming to light that you've never seen before. And it's kind of putting things in perspective of, you know, who you are, how you interact with other people as well is coming into the forefront. And like, this could be travel. Maybe a partner is traveling, or maybe a spouse is traveling, you know, business or personal. It's the same. The 7th house shows all of our partnerships. And then with, you know, Mars up there in the 10th house, this is kind of, you know, giving action to be taken with the career and the public standing and the public reputation. And so this could definitely be, you know, speaking to, this could be some a career that is either being cut away, or a career that you're really dedicated to doing long term, and so taking direct action associated with that. With the trine to Saturn in the 6th house, it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be, you know, it's going to require diligence, it's going to require patience, it's going to require you to kind of adapt to the situations with Mars and Gemini and move forward in a very, you know, dynamic way, and be able to adapt to the things that are changing, but also remember that goal, remember that thing that you want to complete, and keep that in mind as well. And then, you know, Mercury is in retrograde, so being a Virgo ascendant specifically, Mercury is in your 2nd house. Mercury is your chart ruler, so you're reevaluating what it is that you value, or who you value, or what you value in terms of your money, how you make your money, what you're doing in your career and the value that that adds or doesn't, right? So Mercury is in a wide trine with Mars at this time, so it can definitely be a very interesting time, and it can definitely be, you know, action to be taken on these areas of our lives, especially the second house being Libra, sixth house being Aquarius, and 10th house being Gemini, of, you know, taking action and reevaluating some things here, especially with Mars going retrograde later next month. So that is a thing too. And that is what I have for Virgo, and now we are on to Libra. So for Libra and Libra rising specifically, this full moon is happening in your 12th and in your 6th house, right? So the sun is traversing your 12th house, hidden enemies, hidden things, secret, you know, maybe even secret friendships or secret relationships that are there, or even secret money, because of some of the other associations with the planets in that are involved in this 12th house transit. And something's being highlighted in terms of your employees, the people that work for you, your daily routines in general, and what you're doing every single day, right? So there's definitely a reevaluation that needs to happen, and this can have, you know, an effect on what it is that you see, or how you see the world around you, or how you see what's going on in the world around you. And so with Mercury here in your sign, you know, going retrograde, you yourself are revamping and revising what it is that's going on. Maybe even, you know, with Mercury ruling your 9th house and your 12th house, this could be conversations, you reevaluating how you can go about making sure that your health and your wellness are taken into account and taken into consideration and taken into priority over and above other people, or over and above what's going on in your daily life, right? So that is a thing here too. With, you know, the 6th house, having the full moon there in the 6th house and having Uranus in the 8th house, there's definitely some workability in terms of what it is that you want to do in career and the money associated with said career, whether or not that's a loan from an institution, or whether or not that is actually a loan, a grant, you know, other people's money. This could be inheritance, taxes, insurances, things like that, if that's applicable to you. There could be some insurance claims going on, etc., or, you know, something like that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Mars is in a really nice trine with Saturn at this time. So having Mars in a really nice trine with Saturn, this is happening in your 9th house and in your 5th house. So there could definitely be some, maybe your partner is traveling, and maybe there's something going on. Maybe you guys are both traveling, and you're taking a trip, you know, with your partner, and your child maybe gets sick or something like that, and so you're kind of limited in the things that you can do. That's just an example, not necessarily what is going to manifest, but there could definitely be some things going on here in terms of children, hobbies, fun, play, joy, things like that. You're feeling really limited in this area of your life, and so you've kind of been over in that 11th house of Leo, kind of like your group associations and the people that you associate with by choice, right? And your philanthropic goals and ideations as well. And so with Mars here in trine with Saturn, this could be a really nice trip taken with family and through partnership with children, etc. So that is what's going on there. And for Scorpio and Scorpio rising, for you, this full moon is happening in your 5th house. This is gorgeous energy for Scorpio rising, in particular the rising sign. You know, the sun is bringing light, heat, joy, and, you know, satisfaction really to the group associations and the people that you associate with by choice, as well as Venus here in the 11th house. you're kind of taking a liking to some people. This could be social contracts, as I like to call it. Usually the ruler of the 7th house, which for you is Taurus, right? This is where Uranus and the North Node are. It's your 7th house of contracts. Venus in the 11th house is a social house. It's a house of groups and organizations and friends, right? So I like to say, you know, the ruler of the 7th and the 11th, or the ruler of the 11th and the 7th, this is a social contract that's going on between you and other people. And so that's really good. The fact that it's Virgo and Mercury is, you know, in your 12th house, there's some maybe private conversations that are going on behind the scenes that have to do with your group associations, that have to do with the people that you associate with by choice. And so with this really nice trine, you know, from the Sun to Uranus, and this really nice sextile from, you know, the moon to Uranus in your 7th house, from your 5th and your 11th to your 7th, this could be really great for the fulfillment, completion, finalization, and reevaluation of even people that you have contracts with, of group associations that you are a part of, or even, you know, what you have going on with your spouse specifically, or even friends with your spouse and joint friends or things like that, right? So it could definitely be something really interesting going on with friends, group associations, people that you associate with by choice. And then with Mars in the 8th house, there could definitely be, your focus could be on joint finances. Your focus could be on, you know, taxes. Your focus could be on inheritances and things like that. And with that trine to Saturn in the 4th house, this could have to do also with maybe taking out a loan, to do with, you know, renovating the home, changing the home, something going on with the home. Maybe there's a foundational flaw with the home, because when Saturn transits the 4th house, there can definitely be some structural issues that come to light usually, or things that need to be changed with the home in a very physical, very tangible way. And so with Mars in the 8th house, this could definitely be, you know, getting a loan for home renovations, or getting a loan to either purchase a home or, you know, sell a home. And this could be a long range goal, or a not long range goal. This could be a long range project that's going on for you specifically. And then, yeah, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this full moon is happening in your 4th house. So the sun has been bringing light, heat, joy, focus, you know, on your 10th house, on your career, on your public standing, on your public reputation. And so with both the sun and Venus here, the focus has been on, you know, making contact with other people and talking with people every single day, engaging with your career every single day and what you're doing out in the world every single day, and, you know, bringing people into the mix, bringing in your group associations into your career and having fun with it. That could definitely be a thing here too. Now, with the full moon being in your 4th house, there's something being illuminated on the home. There's something being illuminated either with the home itself, with your family members or your parents specifically, or with where it is that you come from. Something at the root of the matter is being brought to light in order to be reevaluated and, you know, put to bed. So there's definitely some interesting things going on here. And this is going to be something that's going to be going on a daily basis. This could even be something that is associated with your work or your work routine, or even your daily health and what you're doing. So there's definitely some things going on here for Sagittarius rising specifically, that have to do with your work and what you're doing every single day with your work. And that's going to be changing very dramatically, but in a really nice way. There's been all of these kinds of crazy things coming out of left field at you, but now there's a way to harness this energy, and there's a way to move forward with it, you know, with your career and your daily routines and your home life. You're able to shift it and synthesize it in a really positive way. Now, for Sagittarius, Mars is in your 7th house in trine with Saturn in your 3rd house. And so this could definitely be you know, contracts, agreements, and negotiations in your neighborhood, with neighbors, with even siblings or extended family members, or even communication with these people, or communication with people specifically in positions of power and authority, right? Because Saturn does have rulership over that as well. Just people that are your boss or people that are in a position of authority. So there's definitely lots of conversations going on, lots of maybe even heated conversations going on, right? It is Mars. So that could definitely be a thing too. And I think that is what I have for you. Actually, no, Mercury is going Mercury is retrograde in your 11th house. And so this can actually be reevaluating the people that you associate with, reevaluating the groups and the associations that you have there. And with the Sun, Venus, and Mars all in Mercury ruled signs, with Mercury being retrograde, you're reevaluating those personal relationships with these people. You're reevaluating your personal relationship. You're reevaluating maybe what's going on with your clients, if that's applicable to you. But you're definitely reevaluating what it is that you're doing in career and who you associate with and why is definitely something that's come up for you. And so next up is Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this full moon is happening in your 3rd house. So your focus with the Sun in the 9th house, you know, bringing light, heat, joy, and, you know, attention to this higher education, higher learning. This could even be, you know, institutions, either educational institutions, or even I've seen this be doctors, just straight up doctors. 9th house associations and dealing with them. And so having a full moon in the 3rd house, this could definitely be, you know, conversations around, you know, what's going on. And especially with with Mars in Gemini at this time, with this square going on, this could definitely be you know, conversations that maybe have to do with conversations around your work or around health specifically, just because it is the Virgo Pisces axis with Mars, you know, T-squaring from there. So there could definitely be some conversations about health, wellness, what you're doing every single day, the action that you're taking every single day, or even the health of a parent comes into question for some of you Capricorn risings. Otherwise, you know, this could be conversations around work. This could be maybe even the fulfillment and completion of something that you're doing in terms of teaching, or something that is maybe was a wish, right? Because Pisces does have that association with wishes. And so maybe there's a wish fulfillment that's happening here with this 9th and 3rd house. And so, you know, it does have associations with work. It does have associations with, you know, fun and play and joy and things like that. And so with Mercury being retrograde in your 10th house, there's a way that you're known out in the world that's being reevaluated or revamped, and that's going to move back into your 9th house. So, you know, definitely with the Sun, Venus, and Mars being all in Mercury ruled signs, your one-to-one contracts and agreements, your one-to-one associations, and for you specifically, your career and how you relate to your career or how you relate to people in positions of authority is under revision and revisement at this time. So that is something that's going on. And then with Mars and Saturn in trine from your 6th house to your 2nd house, there's definitely something that's been set in motion in terms of your long-term money-making capabilities. Maybe finances have been tight or limited in some way, shape, or form, or you yourself are getting very clear and very diligent and very studious in terms of your finances and what you're doing with your finances, even though it may look a little bit different than what most people do because it is Aquarius here with Saturn. So that is going on. And then with Mars in the 6th house, this has to do with your work and your daily routines and like literally colleagues and coworkers and work. So there's definitely some long range things that are going on there, and it could definitely turn out to be quite positive. We just have to get kind of past this whole T-square going on with Mars with this full moon. So that's what I have for Capricorn. And then for Aquarius and for Aquarius rising, this full moon is happening in your 2nd house. So your focus has been on other people's money, joint finances, taxes, inheritances, insurances. This could even be court cases, etc., what have you, just because the sun is your 7th house ruler. And so there could definitely be a fulfillment, a completion, and a finalization in terms of money that you're bringing in terms of money that you're bringing in through work specifically, because the moon does rule your 6th house. And so there's definitely some things going on here that need to be reevaluated and kind of like fulfilled and completed and put to bed. Now, it's also the moon and the sun are in trine and sextile with the North Node and Uranus in your 4th house of home, property, and family. So whatever is going on with your finances and your spouse's finances, or debt or taxes or inheritances or things like that, and money that you're making through work, there's going to be something going on that has to do with kind of funneling that into the home, or funneling that maybe even to a parent, or maybe there's something going on with a parent that is affecting joint finances or is affecting your finances specifically. But it's not in a bad way. It could be in a really positive, really weird, really beneficial way that this comes to fruition and completion for you. And then with Mercury being retrograde in Libra, this is happening in your 9th house. So you're kind of, with the sun and Venus in the 8th house for you, there's a lot, maybe even a lot of traumas that have been highlighted. With Venus here, this is kind of like maybe soothing and smoothing over and putting to order and putting to bed old traumas and old wounds, etc. Or even, you know, something that has to do with joint finances. Maybe something to do with joint finances is finally smoothing out. But there's a revision going on here in your 9th house with Mercury being retrograde. With Mercury being retrograde in Libra, this is you reevaluating the big picture. This is you reevaluating how it is that you frame reality. This is you reevaluating your dogmatic belief systems, your faith. All of these things are coming into question and coming up for reevaluation to kind of put in the proper order, right? Especially with the sun, Venus, and Mars all being in Mercury-ruled signs, right? So your focus with Mars has been on things that bring you joy, on passion, sex, play, romance, things like that. With this trine to Saturn in your 1st house, Saturn is your traditional ruler. Mars and Saturn in trine from the 1st to the 5th. I mean, this is very long-lasting, grounded hobbies, long-lasting, grounded. I'm trying to think here. This also has associations of like career and public standing, because Mars does rule Scorpio for you, but also it rules your 3rd house of the community that you're in and your siblings. So there could definitely be some action that's being taken, long-lasting action. This could even be news of a child, like if you're trying to conceive. This could be news of a pregnancy as well around the time of this full moon. And so that could be what's happening for you specifically as an Aquarius rising. That's what I have for you. And so Pisces and Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this full moon is highlighting you. Your focus has been on your relationships, right? Your focus, because the sun has been transiting your 7th house, your focus has been on the people, the places, and the things in your life that you associate with. This could be your spouse, this could be your business partners, this could be your long-term friendships. And with Venus here is kind of coming through, Venus and the sun here are coming through, and they're kind of like focusing your attention here on the people that you have in your life, the people that you want in your life, even communication with partners or through partnership, because Venus does rule your 3rd house of communication, and it also rules your 8th house of joint finances. So there's definitely some things that are going on in terms of, you know, joint finances, debt, taxes, things like that. But this full moon is highlighting you. You are coming under the spotlight. You are now realizing who you are in relationship or how you are in relationship. And you maybe want to smooth that over. Maybe there's some things that have happened that you're not either not proud of or you're not happy with. And so now, especially with Mercury here being retrograde in the 8th house, you're realizing that things need to change. There's something that needs to change here. There is, something that needs to be reevaluated in terms of joint finances, taxes, debt, inheritances, insurances through your partnership specifically. And then with Mars in your 4th house, there's definitely been a lot of activity, a lot of like flurriness, a lot of different things that have been happening in terms of, home and what's going on the home front and all of that. So, there's going to be a revision and a reevaluation of that as Mars goes retrograde later, next month and all of that. So just be aware. But that trine to Saturn, this is kind of giving you, Saturn in the 12th is not a great place for Saturn. Saturn in the 12th can really restrict your sense of downtime or your sense of being able to pull away and relax, because that area of your chart is being restricted. It's like you're being pushed into your daily life, your daily routines and things that you're doing every single day instead of being able to relax. So with that trine to Mars, this could even be action being taken on the home front and, doing the things that you need to do on the home front. Even if you can't relax, you're going to be busy, and this could be for quite a while with Mars going retrograde here. So that is definitely a thing. And that is what I have for you. That is what I have for all 12 signs. So I do hope, sorry, my dog is deciding that he's going to wake up and be a crazy thing. Yeah, I hope this helps, and I hope to see you soon. All right, everyone. See you later.